Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum. I'm Sadia and you're watching at TV London with Sadia Sadat. Today we have with us Sahibzada Ahmad Raza Kasuri sahab. He's a top-notch and a very renowned lawyer of Supreme Court of Pakistan. His efforts in the formulation of 1973 Constitution is commendable. He is also representing Cynthia Ritchie case in Supreme Court. Today we have with us also Cynthia Ritchie. She is a communication consultant, a blogger and a world traveler. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Yeah. Walaikum salam.
Kasuri Saab, I would like to start the show with you and would like to ask you that in this case, do you see any light at the end of the tunnel?
Well, it's a pretty good case. I will, in my professional language, I will say it's an arguable case. I mean, it's a case which can be argued, and if good luck is on that day on our side, we'll win the case. So it's an arguable case because we are trying to lay our case before the court of law that the order passed by the Ministry of Interior to deport this Cynthia Ritchie from Pakistan, and she was given about a fortnight to pack up and to leave the country. And then we entered into the court and we got the stay order, and we got that order suspended till the final disposal of the writ petition before the Islamabad High Court. So that stay order is continuing, and our case is that she has been coming to Pakistan since 2009, and during this period, almost over 30 times she has been shuttling between Pakistan and the United States, and she is very keen to promote the tourism of Pakistan, particularly the northern areas. So that's our case, and we are trying to tell the court that she has got no ill will against anybody, and no, she's not as Rehman Malick is trying to paint her, that she's probably acting on somebody's behalf. No, it's certainly not. You see, her case is a very straitjacket case in which she's trying to establish that he had tried to rape her, and that's the case before the court. So we are trying to convince the court that Rehman Malick, who is presently the senator in the Pakistan Senate and also chairman of one of the Senate committee, is trying to put his pressure and in various areas, and not getting justice to Cynthia Ritchie. And the position is that it was a one-liner order passed by the Ministry of Interior, just one-liner, that you had asked for extension of your visa. That has been rejected, and now you pack up and leave the country within 2 weeks' time. Now, the position is that we took up this matter before the court of law, and our argument was that one of the requirement of the law is that no adverse order should be passed in the absence of the person. The last paragraph is its heading is finding. That means that those are the finding of the Ministry of Interior, signed by the Secretary Interior. And in the last paragraph, in a very categorical manner, the Secretary Interior has said that there is no complaint against her from any quarter so far. Okay. If there's no complaint, that means our case is very sound. Then on what basis they have asked us to leave the country?
Cynthia, I would like to ask you a question, and it's in every people's mind now, that why after 10 years of time has lapsed and then you have filed this case, while it should have been done before when it actually has happened?
I actually reported this incident as soon as I was able to back in 2011, May 2011, which occurred several days after the Osama bin Laden incident. I reported it to a political officer, Thomas Hudak, who worked at the U.S. Embassy at the time. I was subsequently offered a flight home back to the United States, and I said that this was not good enough. And then when I finally made it back to the United States around several months later, and I was back in Washington, I actually reported these activities and the theft of my laptop, which led to the theft of my identity, massive identity theft. I reported this to the FBI, and essentially nothing was done. So I did my due diligence in terms of reporting it to my embassy, and it's sad. It's an embarrassment that my own embassy, American embassy, has failed one of its citizens along these lines. But then also to think back 10 years ago, Sadia, that who was in power? PPP was fully in power, and ostensibly the most powerful man in the country was the one that was supposed to look after me and was supposed to protect me and to take care of me and to ensure my safety and well-being. And I had them all on speed dial on my phone. So if I had any issue, the first few months were perfectly fine with PPP. And if I had any issue, I could call them at any time. But just think, if you were in my shoes, if any woman or any vulnerable person were in my shoes, and the government, the top law enforcement officer of the government that's hosting you, rapes you, do you think a police officer is going to be able to manage this case properly? Do you think that the healthcare practitioners that would conduct a rape kit would be able to guard and protect the evidence and make sure that it's being seen before the proper chain of custody and is seen in front of a judge or jury of one's peers without it being contaminated? I'm having difficulties getting an FIR 10 years later, and I have a lot more resources, and I have a much bigger voice now than I certainly did almost 10 years ago. So I wasn't really even on social media, certainly not to the extent that I am now 10 years ago, but I'm able to get my story out on social media on my platform. But back then, there would have been no way. If anything, my life would have been endangered, and I would have experienced far more troubles than I'm experiencing now.
Okay. Kasuri Sab, Cynthia's mentioning that she hasn't not been able to yet file the FIR. So do you think, or do you know any reason that why she wasn't given any rights to file her FIR?
You see, the law is very clear. You see, if it is a cognizable case, cognizable case is the one where police can arrest somebody without seeking warrant from the magistrate. You see, that's called cognizable offense. If there's a cognizable offense, and then under Section 154 of the Criminal Procedure Code, it is the right of the complainant to get his or her case registered. And it's the duty of the station house master of the police station to register that case. And if it is a non-cognizable case, then the police officer will register the case, but will not arrest, and not proceed with the case unless the magistrate gives him permission to proceed with the case. So that's the difference between the cognizable and non-cognizable case. Her is a cognizable case, and it was the bounded responsibility and duty of the police officer to record her first information report, which in the legal parlance we call it FIR. But he refused to do it. Then we have, yet another option for the complainant. If the police officer declined to register a case, then you can file before a petition before the Justice of Peace under Section 21A of the Criminal Procedure Code, requesting the court that court may kindly give a direction to the police officer that since it's a cognizable case, it has to be registered, you see. And one of the requirement is that there should not be any investigation done by police officer earlier than recording of the FIR. The investigation follows the FIR. Once the FIR is recorded, then the police officer start investigating. Here, they investigated on the direction of somebody or on the pressure of somebody, and they came to the conclusion that no case is made out. Now, that is absolutely a violation of the principles of law, which is applicable in the state of Pakistan. So that matter is also before the Islamabad High Court by way of a writ petition.
That you were able to go to the far-flung areas. Like, as a citizen of Pakistan, we cannot go to those places. So how were you able to go to those places all by yourself?
Well, first of all, I did not go to the tribal areas all by myself. I didn't hitchhike or take a Tonga cart. One, especially being a foreigner, and I'm not the only foreigner that's done so, certainly. But one has to get their clearances and their permissions to travel to certain areas, especially if one wants to engage in filmmaking like we've been doing. Okay. So I've had all my clearances and facilitation taken care of. And of course, they communicate and coordinate with the appropriate agencies as it relates to me as an individual and whether or not I'm a risk, et cetera, et cetera. So I traveled with and also with local civilians on the ground who were able to help facilitate me as well.
Okay. And at the moment, do you have any access to your accounts or anything? So how can you, it's just a question that how can you able to fund yourself and having a Kasuri Saab as your lawyer?
Yes, so I would say I'm sort of in a visa purgatory right now. I'm on a court stay order, but without a valid visa because of what Kasuri Saab mentioned earlier. And essentially what that does is I'm not able to receive wired money, send wires. My bank accounts have been frozen because I do not have a current valid visa. There are many things that I am unable to do without a valid visa. And this is because of the PPP's government trying to literally on one end have me deported and then Rehman Malick trying to place me on the exit control list on the other. Now, why would anyone do this if someone has made a claim, made statements such as it seems to me that an individual, they would as a group come together and say, all right, let's do our part to form an impartial investigation because this needs to be looked into. And instead, I've been threatened with rape. I've been threatened with my family to be kidnapped. My loved ones around the world have been sent horrific messages, almost like they're...
Cynthia, so my question stands there, like, so if you do not have any access to these means of financing, so how were you able to afford to have Kasuri Saab as your solicitor?
I had enough money of my own saved up, and I still have my American bank account cards. So I'm able to withdraw money on our own. And we also have a fundraiser that we have just started to help pay for the legal expenses. But fortunately, I'm a saver and I do have my American bank cards with me.
Okay. And Kasuri Saab, I was also came to realize that Rehman Malick has applied for immunity. Do you think that he's entitled to any sort of immunity, or will it be given?
Well, under Article 248 of the Constitution of Pakistan, the immunity while in office is only available to the President and the Prime Minister and the governors and probably the federal ministers, you see, and not anybody else. And that too, while they are in office. Once they leave the office, well, then the law, the operation of law start and commence once again. So he has asked for immunity, but I don't think there's any immunity available to a member of the parliament. Parliament means Senate and the National Assembly put together as the parliament. So no such immunity is available to any member of parliament under the constitution or under the law.
Cynthia, coming back to you, I would like to ask you that in this case, do you see any hope, or how hopeful you are that you will be the winner in this case?
I always look at life as the glass half full. Although I've experienced many disappointments, including HBL allowing illegal access to my bank accounts, and former Prime Minister Gilani's son, Qasim Gilani, sharing my personal banking information from HBL. I mean, the major shareholder of HBL is the Aga Khan. And the Aga Khan has been, as far as I'm aware, revered the world over as someone who is a peacemaker and a peace builder. And it's frankly shocking to me that HBL would allow illegal access to my banking information, which shows my family's names and addresses and location, passport information, a great deal of personal information that was shared with intent onto Twitter by Qasim Gilani, the former Prime Minister, Raza Gilani of PPP. So for me, this is very, very disappointing. Even if you don't like me as a person, or if you think I'm not telling the truth regarding my case, why would you use these tactics? Why would you break international law by trying to claim that I am I've been involved in visa misdeclaration, which I never have, money laundering, which I certainly never have, and then leak my personal information online? What does that say about this political party? What does that say about these individuals who are supposed to be stalwarts or bastions of society, or at least claim to be so? So I'm really disappointed, not only in how these individuals who have been either head of state or prime minister or the children of such, you would think that they would know better. But also I'm disappointed in the bank of HBL. They've been fined in New York for various violations. It's my understanding from other contacts as well, or other sources, that there are a number of individuals or large groups that are planning to withdraw from HBL due to similar circumstances as privacy violations, not to the extent, as far as I'm aware, that I've gone through, but we've also had difficulty filing FIRs against them. So there are several people that have committed what as Kasuri Saab described, cognizable offenses against me, yet not one of them have been basically pushed through. And we filed these back when these occurred in June, when my identity was stolen all over again, when my passport information, journalists were leaking my passport information and getting information from some people in the Ministry of Interior. So my banking information, my personal information has been leaked by people, by individuals within PPP, and HBL has so far done absolutely nothing to help remedy the circumstances. And I find it strange, 6 months later, if according to the law, after we filed for these FIRs, why have we not received our FIRs? Why did, my big question is that Islamabad High Court was asking, where is the FIR? You cannot conduct an investigation without the FIR. And the next thing we know, Rehman Malick has me before the Supreme Court, and he's trying to quash my ability to get an FIR and at the same time gain immunity. And it was quite an interesting day to be in the Pakistan Supreme Court, to actually see the three-justice panel make their comments and statements. They themselves are asking, where is the FIR? The complainant is entitled to the FIR, and Rehman Malick is not entitled to immunity. So for me to experience both of these things on the same day, for me, is quite interesting.
Okay. The other thing that I would like to ask you, Kasuri Saab, do you think that the end of this hearing, so it will just be like a method that the FIR will be registered, or do you see any other punishments as well coming down the road?
Well, Satya, let me explain my position. Beside being a senior-most attorney at law in the Supreme Court, which is the apex court, the highest court of the country, I'm also the senior-most politician of this country, and I'm the founding father of Pakistan Constitution. Now, with this background, I have normally I might not have taken up a case of this dimension, but I have taken up this case with one object, because I travel a lot. I go to United States and various other countries. You see, I have got my friends there. I have taken up this case. I want a very healthy message going to United States, and particularly when the new administration will be taking over on the 20th of January, 2021. I want a very healthy message going to the government of the United States and to people of the United States that an American woman is being well protected under the law and under the Constitution. And if anything is done adversely, it will send a very bad message. It will send a very negative message to the United States of America. And I want that since the new administration will be taking over, a better image of Pakistan should go, that no, we have all the respect and we care for the dignity of people around the world. And here's a citizen of the United States who is being properly protected under the Constitution, and her case is being ably being argued before the court of law. And I'm certainly this will be a very good message.
Cynthia, I just wanted to ask you that in relation to these cases, why do you what do you want to gain out of these cases, first of all, and then is there any way of dealing out of court settlement? Because like in every other cases, there is a chances of having it dealt out of court. So do you think, or will you go down that path of settling it out of court?
Yeah, I'm not a fortune teller, Sadia. I would say I would like to believe that I am an open-minded individual, but my priority is justice. My priority has always been justice. Justice means different things to different people, and certainly experiencing the justice system in Pakistan is quite different than my experience in the justice system, having worked in the justice system in the United States. So I want to send a very powerful, strong message. Also, when we hear the term very often, speaking truth to power, that's often overused verbiage, but I believe that that's what we are doing. We are saying that individuals cannot try to intimidate others who claim that they have been wronged, that there needs to be a system set up that enables fair, impartial investigation into any and all claimants, whether and how to deal with claimants and keep them protected, male, female, members of the third gender, especially children, especially the vulnerable populations. For too long, I have seen the poor people be trampled on and be cruelly treated by those who are wealthier and more powerful than them. So for me, I want justice. If someone does approach with an out-of-court settlement, of course I will consult with Kasuri Saab and our legal team and decide what is the best course of action at that time.
Okay, and you have also applied for the Pakistani nationality. So why is that? Do you really want to be part of Pakistan?
Well, that's in process. That's something that I'm strongly considering. A couple of things I did want to correct is that, yes, I am strongly considering it. I part of the requirements are the time the person has spent in Pakistan. They must also have a clean chit from the Ministry of Interior, and I qualify on both of those accounts. So what's interesting is that in the legal book, and of course I'm not the subject matter expert Kasuri Saab is, but I've learned a lot over the past several months regarding laws regarding foreigners. Mm-hmm. And in the section for acquiring naturalization, it mentions that the individual, not he, not she, it mentions the individual must have spent a certain amount of years in the country prior to the application and must have a clean chit. And I've always considered Pakistan my second home. I absolutely adore and have learned the people and have learned so much of my travels in the rural areas, the tribal areas, the far-flung areas. These are the people whose voices really need to be heard, and I believe that I can help them do that. Not everyone has access to resources that we have, and so they need individuals that can help advocate for them and what their needs are in the local areas. And for me, that's part of my life's calling. So I'm doing this because of my love for the Pakistani people.
Okay. And just I wanted to ask you out of curiosity that why did you choose Kasuri Saab as your lawyer in Pakistan? Do you have any reason because of the history that he had with the PPP?
Actually, Kasuri Saab was introduced to me by a mutual friend, and when I researched his background, I did take note of those items. But I think more importantly, it's Kasuri Saab's experience and his, as he rightly said, being the father of the Constitution. He knows the Constitution better than anyone else, and his life experiences, in some ways, decades ago, in some ways have echoed mine. So I felt a bit of that we might have a bit of a kinship along those lines. We know what it's like to be attacked in multiple ways and on different fronts and be falsely accused by different people. And we both believe in truth and justice. And for me, that's the most important thing. Okay.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Kasuri Saab. And thank you, Cynthia, for your time.
Thank you, Sadia.
Thank you.